Okay, so now that all of your projects have been turned into the box, you are absolutely ready to be done with mapping. It's time for us to move on to oceans. Hopefully, if you were done early, you started working on the oceans vocabulary, which is at the front of the room and on the podium. For the vocabulary this time, you are allowed to choose between either writing the definition of the word in the box or drawing a detailed and color picture of the word in the box. All of the instructions for this are right here at the top of the page. Your oceans vocabulary is due next class. You can access definitions and pictures that are related to these both in the textbook or in the PowerPoint that's available through the assignments page. So I'll make sure that link is going to be there for you so that you can click on that and see the vocabulary as well. Now, not all the words will be there. You will have to look up some yourself, but the book or the PowerPoint should have most of the words for you. If you have questions about completing the vocabulary, then please ask your neighbor because it's vocabulary. We've done this a billion times. You're ready to go. All right, this is the beginning, first day. Oceans. Oceans cover 70% of our planet, and that is a really big deal. They affect life on Earth in more ways than we can probably count. And so for this unit, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're not going to be having a typical assessment. Instead, you are going to be doing a Socratic seminar. So many of you have done Socratic seminars probably in English class before. So this is probably going to be a bit different for you because in this Socratic seminar, you won't be citing specific references like in a textbook or in a novel that you've chosen. Instead, you are going to be doing independent research on oceans and topics that are interesting to you about oceans in preparation for the Socratic seminar. If you turn your vocabulary sheet over right now, what you're going to see is a description of the assessment. So let's go over this just so that we're clear and so that you know what you're going to be working on for the rest of the block. You will be preparing to answer specific questions about the oceans. But one thing that you'll notice is that these questions are not yes or no questions. So, for example, how do humans impact the oceans? Who owns the oceans? How have oceans changed over time? These are types of questions that through analysis and research, you are going to be able to find answers. However, all of you will not find the same answer, and you are even going to be allowed to insert your own opinion into the conversation. Socratic seminars are about analyzing facts, evidence, making reasoned arguments, but it is okay if we don't all agree about some of these things. So it's important for you to spend some time making sure that you can answer these 10 baseline questions. What types of topics should you be considering in your answers to these questions? The bottom, you're going to find a list of 8 different topics that you can choose from. Everything from recreation, like visiting the beach and riding a jet ski, to climate, exploring the oceans, glaciers, drilling for oil, and pollution. There's so many different ways that the oceans are impacting us. So this is a great list to start with. Now, for some of you, researching these topics is going to feel like a lot. So if it feels like, man, this is overwhelming to start, then you should immediately head to the assignments page. On the assignments page, what you're going to find is a hyperdoc about oceans research. In the hyperdoc about oceans research, we have taken all of the topics that are there and found at least one article or video or website that clearly explains what it is. So for example, if you've never heard of dredging before, that's one of the topics from the list that you should probably look up. Do you think that I'm going to make sure that you know all of these answers? Every single topic, you need to know everything about them? Of course not. But you should be familiar with all of them so that you can actively participate in the Socratic seminar because that is going to be your test grade for this unit. So let's take a look together at that oceans research page. This might be a little awkward looking at the computer through the computer. So what we're going to be looking at here is on the oceans research page, you can see that there's links for all of those topics. Well, this is 3 pages long. And so in those 3 pages, you're going to find almost all of the baseline places for you to start. And then you can research beyond that as much as you like. In addition, the PowerPoint that had the vocabulary terms in it also has tons of information that you're going to need. Now, in the next few classes, we are of course going to do a little bit of notes and diagramming and stuff like that. But for the most part, you are going to be exploring and learning about oceans and the things that interest you about oceans on your own in a way to prepare for the seminar. So how will you get points during the seminar? How are you going to be graded? You are going to be graded on a 4-point scale for each of your contributions to the conversation. So for example, if you make a statement of agreement or disagreement, for example, I agree that this is a good idea to have this assessment be a Socratic seminar, that's a 1-point contribution. A 2-point contribution provides evidence about the topic at hand. So for example, you might say, I think a Socratic seminar is a good way to learn about oceanography because Socratic seminars have a long history that dates back to ancient Greece. A 3-point response would be making an evidenced argument referencing earlier statements by other students. So, for example, you might say, Mrs. Malum said that Socratic seminars would be a good way to learn in this unit. However, I believe that this is going to be the very best way to learn in all units because I have previously learned blah, 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 blah. And you have to provide your evidence in that blah, 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 blah spot, okay? You have to do that on your own and come up with that. And that's where your research is going to come in. A 4-point, that's a perfect response. That's a perfect contribution to the conversation, is when you make an evidenced argument referencing earlier statements by somebody else who's in the conversation and then adding new information to the conversation. Not just a fact, but prompting the conversation to continue moving forward, either by asking a question or by saying something that's so thought-provoking that other people can't help but want to respond to it. And that is a little bit subjective, but it's going to be the difference between those of you who do well in the Socratic seminar and those A+ sort of responses to the Socratic seminar. The Socratic seminar will be on the 13th and 14th of December. So that is going to be next week on Wednesday and Thursday. If you are not going to be here for the Socratic seminar, then you can let me know independently and we will talk about what options we have for assessing you on the Oceans unit. If you have any other questions, at all, you are welcome to write them down and give them to the sub and they will leave them in a pile on the desk for me, or you can just wait for me to come back tomorrow and I will be there to answer whatever questions that you have. If you are in my second block class, that is all for now. So you are going to spend the rest of your time today working on your vocabulary, making it genuinely awesome, lots of color, lots of good definitions. If you're drawing pictures, obviously the color, definitions, don't need the color. And then starting to explore the articles and videos about oceans. That's what you're going to be doing for the rest of the class. So second block, you guys are all done. Thank you so much, and I will see you when we meet again on Friday. Research classes. If you are in the research class, you have, so first and third block, you guys have one additional thing that you need to be doing. Next class, you're going to be getting symposium assignment number 2 back. And when you do, you are going to be launching into symposium assignment number 3. Symposium assignment number 3 is due after Martin Luther King Day in January. You're going to have slightly more than a month to complete this assignment. It is a very large assignment, and it's worth a lot of points. And so to get started with it, before you can even begin, you have to have finalized the question that you plan on researching from now until the beginning of April. This needs to be a strong question. On the table at the front of the room, there is a pile of slips of paper that I'm sorry I didn't bring one home, otherwise I would show you. But it says my symposium research question proposal. And all you need to do on that form is fill in the independent and the dependent variable. Your independent and dependent variables should be specific, clear, and measurable. Specific, clear, and measurable. An independent and dependent variable that is general is going to produce not clear and specific experiments, and you need to be able to test this experiment yourself. So if your independent and dependent variable lines up to be something that you want to test the effect of throwing vacuums into black holes, it's not a reasonable question because we don't have any black holes on hand. So you are going to need to pick a question or your general overall problem that you could personally test yourself at home. Of course, I'm happy to help you with developing this, and you can swing by sometime tomorrow and I am more than happy to assist. We did this a little bit before SSA 2. On that point, if you'd like to change your question, the topic or the question that you came up with in advance of SSA number 2 was just not interesting to you while you were researching it, or at this point you've developed a slightly different idea for what kind of question you'd like to have or experiment you'd like to do for your research project, you are absolutely welcome to change it. But after I approve your question that you put on this slip of paper, then that's it. From here on out, that question is final and you must research that all the way through April. So it's important to think creatively and thoughtfully about what you are planning to study for the next few months as your independent research. If you're just not sure, there are 2 sides to your slip for questions, and you are welcome to write 2 different questions that you're sort of trying to decide between, on one on each side, and then I'll look at both of them and let you know which one I think would maybe be a better fit for you. We're going to meet one-on-one and conference next time, so you'll have a chance to talk to me about your question. But you absolutely positively must come in with a completed research question ready to go in the format as it's written on the card. Again, questions, swing by in the morning or try to catch me sometime in the hallway tomorrow. And I am more than happy to work with you to come up with a good solution, whether that's you getting a rock block pass to come and see me, or we're just going to find some time to just shoot across some ideas. But please come in prepared to talk about that, because we want to get started on your research projects before break, so you do not have to spend all of break worrying and stressing about getting this really big paper done, because in January, I promise you that there is going to be a lot going on at the end of that quarter, and snow days are not going to adjust the deadline for this. So it's going to be incredibly important that all of your stuff is rip-roaring, ready to go. And so we want to get started as soon as possible so that this is a nice and easy experience for you writing the next step of your research paper. Okay, guys. Be nice and kind to the substitute. Please look around your area and make sure that it is cleaned up. Markers, pens, pencils, rulers, all those things are returned to where they belong. Cardboard on the side counter if it has not already been cleaned up. And make sure that you guys stay in your seats until the sub dismisses you, not the bell. All right, guys, I will see you soon, Friday, for most of you, and have a good rest of the block. Don't forget to finish your vocab. I will look at that next time as well. All right, have a good one.